Bye! Love you too! See you next time! Howdy! There we go. Howdy, friends! I am on my way to Whitesburg, which is a town just a quick shake of a lamb's tail down the road from Hazard that also has a ton of exciting stuff going on. This morning, there is a press conference about the launch of a tech-based design cooperative that is incubated out of Apple Shop, which is an incredible cultural organization. It's been around since the 70s that is kind of going through a renaissance. There's something about Whitesburg. For one, it's one of the only places in the region that the national press seems to like. Every couple of months, I feel like I'm reading an article about how Eastern Kentucky is one of the worst places in America for this or that, or one of the worst places in the world for that other thing, but Whitesburg is one of the few places that gets a lot of positive praise in the media. So that's interesting, and one of the reasons that is because they have a good critical mass of people. They have a couple of really key anchor institutions that have allowed the community to kind of weather the economic storm we've been going through. And another reason is there have been a number of restaurant, bar, and business openings in the past year that have really built up momentum there. So it is another place in Eastern Kentucky that is super exciting at this point in history.
So, what is Mountain Tech Media? MTM is a mission-driven, diversified technology and media services company. Quite simply, our mission is to help organizations and businesses reach new peaks. Everyone in this room should recognize that MTM's status and chances of a real success story as a new technology and digital marketing startup are intricately tied to its relationship with Apple Shop, an anchor of cultural innovation in the Appalachian region. Thank you again for being here. I'm really happy and really excited that you all joined us today.
So one of my favorite things about Mountain Tech Media is that they're one of the first new businesses to specifically mention the broadband rollout. Kentucky is currently investing a lot in expanding its broadband infrastructure in Eastern Kentucky, which is super important because rural access to broadband does a lot to diversify economies and really help rural communities thrive. Not only is Mountain Tech Media a company that itself will take advantage of the broadband rollout, but it's also planning to help other companies take advantage of the broadband rollout as well, helping them expand online services, and there's going to be a lot of need for that in this area. I'm currently on my way to the release of the Hindman Settlement School's new 5-year strategic plan. The Settlement School, in addition to the Appalachian Artisan Center, are two of my favorite organizations in Hindman, which is the third of the Tri-Cities here in Eastern Kentucky. Together they form a golden triangle of excitement and are really leading the way in diversifying Eastern Kentucky's economy and using new models to make this an even better place to live. strategic plan conversation for the Hindman Settlement School. There was a ton of great food, it was very well attended, and the conversation that happened afterwards was really interesting. I noticed that there wasn't much mention of diversity and inclusion when they were talking about their strategic plan for the next 5 years, and that subject has really been on my mind ever since my friends from Georgia stayed with me last week. They had seen the statistics about the demographics of the region before coming, and they were asking questions about what diversity is like in the mountains. Just because the statistics and demographics are the way they are doesn't mean that there isn't any diversity here. It's just different. But here we were talking about the future of the Hindman Settlement School at a really critical time, not only in the organization's history, but also in the history of this region. And I think it's important to ask questions like that, to be thinking about things like that. What does diversity and inclusion look like in these institutions and these communities? And it led to some really interesting conversations. One of my favorite parts about the conversation was the subject of neurodiversity, which is really important to me because of my experience with mental health. So the settlement school has a lot of robust dyslexia programs, and someone brought that up as an example of a way that they're very intentionally reaching out to and engaging with diverse populations. And I think that neurodiversity is a type of diversity that often gets left out of the conversation. Another key takeaway was a conversation about history. Appalachia does have a history of diversity, one that doesn't always get recorded or told or passed along. And I think it's really important for us at this time to dig a little deeper and be really intentional about lifting that up, so we're not perpetuating these stories that there's no diversity in the mountains, because it's not true. So what started as just a little question out of curiosity ended up turning into what I thought was a really interesting and open-ended conversation. The conversation is definitely not over, and not only for the settlement school, but also for the region as a whole. And that is another thing to be excited about. Someone made a joke about me making a vlog about me making a vlog, and I just so happen to be super into weird meta stuff like that. So, what you're about to see is me editing all of the content that you've seen so far up to this point. Go.